All right, welcome back to another Roots on the Ground or Day in the Life of DevRel. Doing another recording following on from the previous one, where I did some preparatory tasks for creating a Hello World with Golang, just a language, right? And doing something extremely minimal with the SDK, one each for Java and Golang. So let's just close all of these files and see what I mean, right? So this is a Java file that just prints hello world and then imports account ID and just prints it out. It's nothing, fantastic going on here. Now, same thing for Go, right? Print hello world and then use account ID from the Hedera SDK as well. So very minimal. And now that's given us the basics to be able to actually do a translation of this, right? So under Hello World, the existing Hello World repo, this has GitHub's a bit slow today. Right, so we've got create fund account, HFS files, HSCS smart contract, HTS fungible token, and HCS topic, right? Now, out of all of these, I find that the simplest one, the most straightforward one, tends to be for a user to complete is HFS files, right? This seems to be the most straightforward, and if you take a look at the script as well, see if you collapse that. There we go. So this is also the most straightforward to follow along. Now, note that I'm in the completed branch, right? The main branch of the tutorial is redacted. So there's some parts of the code missing, and when you actually follow along in the tutorial, right, you'll be asked to follow along with that. So let's just, make that concrete. Tutorials, hello world, HFS files. So this is the corresponding tutorial for this one, for this particular HFS files thing. So this is a demo repo that you will clone a copy of, and the copy that you clone will have the main branch. And so this is what you'll see. And then it'll say something along the lines of step 1, file create transaction. And then you're meant to, write this code as indicated in the tutorial step and put that over here, right? And then so you have new file create transaction, dot set contents, dot freeze with, and then that's your full line of code from here to here, right? So that's what you're meant to do. We'll get to the redactions later on. That's not the objective right now. The objective is just to get a working version of it. And so we want a working version of this HFS script, HFS files SDK.js. We want that in Java and Go. And I am starting with the HFS files one because that is the absolute simplest one. In terms of the user following along tutorial, but I think also that will extend to writing it. So it's not in the intended sequence where you'd obviously need to start with create fund account, but we'll start with this one instead, just for sake of flow or easiness. Alright, so between Java and Go, after having done the hello worlds, I feel like I was slightly more familiar with the Java syntax than Go. So Go looks simpler, easier in some sense in terms of the syntax, and there's less flow. But in terms of writing the Java code, I think the fact that I've actually done it before professionally, albeit many, many years ago, a lot of it still is quite similar and therefore familiar for me. So I'm gonna stick to Java for the first version for the translation. So let's start with Java, right? So what do we call this? 01 HFS files. All right. So, Java Hello World. Let's HFS-files. And then so that's an empty directory. And what I'm going to do is touch build.gradle and also -t. And what I want to do in there is src/main/java/ and I need to follow that syntax, and then touch, and I'll give it a name, script HFS files dot java. All right, so I'll start with this and just paste that in there, and then the package name needs to match HFS files from here, and it needs to match the file name as well. Oops. Okay, so now I need a build.gradle file, and I'm going to copy that from hello1 just so we can get started quickly, and it will be that. I think that should do it. Now, what do I want to do now? I also need to do touch .env file, and I need to follow this format: account ID and private key. So I've already got one prepared. I also have a seed phrase, so I'm going to use that as well. Let's see, .env, and this file over here, just paste that, save it, close it. All right. I think that should do it. Not that I need a .env file yet, I just know that I eventually will. So what's this complaining about? Okay. Alright, so I'm not sure what to do about that one. Maybe once I build it, they'll go away. So I'm in this directory, and the .env file should be there as well. There we go. Okay, so let's see, touch, no, I want to do Gradle build. Okay, build successful. Now let's see if it still complains about that. So I just think that this is the IDE. Yeah, I noticed something is missing, because previously when I saved the build.gradle file, it updates the paths, but this time it hasn't done that. Okay, So just have to ignore that. Okay, so let's do Gradle run. Alright, so that succeeded. So I'm able to build this file now. So now, I'm able to build and run this file. So now I need to do the translation of this. So, actually, let's see. Okay, so I want to do an import of everything in the Hedera SDK. And I also want to import .env. And let's see, from here, if I go back to the environment setup, I believe there was this. All right, and build our Gradle over here. So the first thing I want to do is read the .env file. And I want to copy .env.load. Right, so that's the one I want. And I think that should do it. What is .env? Where does it come from? Okay, so okay, so Java is messing up. This seems Android specific. excellent. So I've managed to load the account ID string and the private key from the environment variables file. So that's great. Right, so now let's turn that into an actual account ID. So for this one, I think I should be able to just copy it wholesale. Let's have some consistency here. Okay, configure client using environment variables. Okay, so each of these will have a type and private key, and this will be client, and this will be ID string. Okay, so we're good. Let's run that again to see that if it crashes. Nope. So seems like there is a difference. The JavaScript SDK is okay with the leading 0x, but the Java SDK is not, I'm assuming. So we need to remove that prefix. Doesn't have starts with. Starts with. Does it have trim? Substring? Yes. I'm assuming that will Java string substring. It's not too obvious to me what the canonical site would be. Begin index. Unhappy to. Okay, so that's exactly what I want. I want to remove 2 characters. Alright. So run that again. Okay, so complaining about loggers. I'm assuming the usage of client requires a logger of some sort. So let's go back to the Hedera tutorial, and actually instead of putting them in piecemeal, let's get the lot of it. So we need build up Cradle, and then remove that one. So that's for the Hedera SDK, that's for Java, that's for gRPC, which I know the SDK makes use of. This is the one that was just complained about. This, I do not know what that is. Probably for JSON parsing. maybe. And this came by default. Testing, which we haven't used yet. Okay, so let's run that again. Synchronize, yes. Wait, it'll run. Okay, this time with no complaints. Alright, I think we can comment that out now. Next, back to what was being translated. Okay, so local file contents is this. So first I need to make sure that I have that file, touch my file.txt. And I think this could be anything, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like Hello Future or something. And where's Hello Future? Let me just check in the tutorial. HFS files. Close those. There we go. So I'll just use that. Save that file. Done. Okay, so now we're gonna read in this file. So we've come to the first redaction. Gonna switch back to main. Completed. Oops. Completed. There we go. So this is the comment, but then the actual thing is there. So let's do that. Read file from disk first. Okay, this is probably going to be quite different in Java, so let's see, Java. I need a more recent one. Okay. Why is there no, like, one-liner? There should be a one-liner. Okay, so java.nio read file from disk. try this one. Why is it SE8? It looks hardly out of date. Why is all the Java documentation so old? Anyway, let's just see. Files. Let's just see what methods it has. Files dot read all. There we go. Read all bytes, and then you'll need a path. And does Neo have path? Yes, it does. There we go. Paths.get. myfile.txt. Now, what does read all bytes return? Byte array. So alright, so just new string like that. Okay, so string local file contents equals to that, and I think that should do it. Paths, so that will be where does this come from? Okay. That seems reasonable. Okay, there we go. So local file contents have been read in, and let's check that that works. There we go. So that's output successfully. Alright, so now we need to write the file on, so now we actually interact with the direct file using the SDK. So, I'm just going to copy all of this and paste it like that and translate lines one by one. Okay, so right, so file create transaction, file create tx is equal to new file create transaction dot set contents, local file contents, great, dot freeze with client, great. And then I'll copy this comment from before. And so then that's this line done. Okay, so okay, I'm just going to delete all the consts. Then we have an indentation error over here. Oops. Okay, and all of the awaits as well. Okay, so what type is file create? Transaction, maybe that's still the same. What's account key? Right. Okay, thanks, autocomplete. And then when you submit it, what does .execute return? .sign returns the same. So that's the same. .execute returns transaction response. And then transaction ID is of type transaction ID. And then get receipt is of type transaction receipt. And file ID is of type file ID. Okay. So that should work, I think. Let's just test that it works. Get the file ID and it'll run. Okay, so let's go to hashscan and see if that works. Hashscan.io. Nope, didn't work. Okay. Well, it did come up with a file ID. Not so sure. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna do is write this one over here. Alright, so file context query, and then set file ID to be this file ID, and then execute is byte string. Alright, so let's see. Interesting. So hashcan doesn't show you files, right? So it needs a transaction ID or one of these things. I wonder if an entity ID includes a file ID. Anyway, let's continue with the query. So got the file contents query over here, and what we want to do is convert that to a string. So convert byte string to string, to convert byte string to string. Exactly what byte string is this? Yeah, it is a protobuf byte string. Okay, so byte string dot to string. Or to string UDF8, that would be okay. So maybe I don't want that. Network file contents, and then this would be dot to string UTF-8, and that would give me network file contents. All right, let's Gradle run this. All right, so it did print out the file contents as expecting. Not so sure why this is not showing up in hashcan though. Something is, yeah, maybe it just doesn't do, because I can see transactions, token topics, contracts, accounts, nodes, staking in blocks, but it doesn't have, doesn't contain the entity type for a file. So that's interesting. All right. Anyway, it did work. So the file contents query did get me back, passed in that this file ID did read that thing back to me. All right, then finally, I need to do output results and client.close. Okay, so delete the const. String, this will need to all be replaced simultaneously. System dot out dot print line, and then this would be alt. Whoops. Yeah, that should do it. Now, how do I do this? Okay, so then I won't use interpolation. I'll just do this. So, that, and that should output the results. Now I will uncomment. Sorry, I'll comment out these extraneous ones that I was using to check the contents, and we'll run again. There we go. This looks exactly like what I would expect from the tutorial output. Now let me just confirm that by looking at the output. So here we go. So we've got file ID, file create transaction ID, transaction explorer URL, and local file contents, network file contents. Perfect. All right. I'm going to copy that and paste that in the URL bar. Oops. There we go. So that's your file create transaction being done. Great. So that's it. Converted an entire this entire JavaScript file from, I guess JavaScript, Node.js to Java, and just going to do a bit of cleanup here. And let's take a look for system out print line. Find any remaining ones. And these ones we want to keep. Alright, just check that it still works. Alright, I'm satisfied with that. Oh yeah, this directory doesn't exist yet. Don't want to include the .env file, so, but I do want to include my file. No, actually I don't want to include that as well. Okay, so I think that's all I want to add, yeah. Okay, and actually I do want one more, which is git ignore in the root folder. Ignore, and I want to include all .env files. Alright. And then over here, I believe in this directory I had .env.sample. Sample. Yes. Okay. So cp and then I'll replace that with your name. myfile.txt.sample, and then touch.ignore. And then I'll have my and so okay, that does look like what I wanted to commit. So git commit -m feet and Java version of 01-HFS files. All right, and well, that's it. Completed this task, pretty happy with the outcome. Translation of this file into this file from JavaScript to Go. All right, that's it.